can probably, they're still at it in here. You could probably see in this morning's newspapers. I mean, I hold up one, the Times, and they're at it again.
Was it Hearn Jordan last time? Or was that a reflection of the first victory?
Could be, mate.
Jordan Hearn. I don't know, but that's me in the middle. Now, many people should be feeling sympathy for me this morning because I'm in the middle of this again. What I would say, guys, before we crack on, Eddie, Simon, and I know you're both trying to get your points over, but what many people are saying, Eddie, when Simon's making a point, try not to shout over him. And Simon, when Eddie's making a point, try not to shout over him.
Well,
and then we might hear
fibs.
Oh,
mate,
honestly,
you've already been found out this morning.
See what I'm up against, ladies and gentlemen.
I got found out giving you more credit than I should have.
What we are doing here this morning is talking about the background to Dillian Whyte being pulled from the AJ fight this weekend because Whyte returned adverse analytical findings in a WADA drug test. These two are talking about the timing of it, who knew what when. Now, the bottom line is this. Eddie, to be fair to you, you've moved quickly and you've got a replacement that you think is a credible replacement. In comes Robert Helenius. The fight goes on Saturday night. No Dillian Whyte. He's wondering if he's got a career at all. And Helenius goes in against Anthony Joshua. But let's go down this route now about Anthony Joshua. Are the AJ camp, Eddie, too precious when it comes to criticism? Or is that just boxing in general? On this, they've had an agenda against me, and talkSPORT's part of that agenda against me. This is AJ on that subject.
When like everyone's favourite at talkSPORT fought Otto Wallin and went 12 rounds, no one and bust his eye open, no one complained. Andy Joshua goes 12 rounds with Jermaine Franklin. It's like, what's happened to the heavyweight division? Why is that? What is the problem with me going 12 rounds?
Does it annoy you that people say, well, Anthony Joshua, the fire seems to have left him, the fight seems to have left him?
No, it just makes me curious as to why. Hence why I asked you the question. Why do you think that is? Where one does it versus another, but you can clearly see that there's two different comparisons. So it's what it is. But let's be clear on what it is as well. There is, let's call it an attack on my name, especially on this talkSPORT radio station. Yeah, there is definitely an attack on my name. But it's fine. It's fine, you know, in this industry you have to have a thick skin, but it's good to talk about it. Like, that was just one example of many I could point out on how there's like parallel comparisons, but one gets dug out a lot more.
So Anthony Joshua believes there's an agenda against him, and there's an agenda here at talkSPORT against him. I mean, Eddie, as you're a fighter, he shouldn't believe that because there isn't an agenda.
Yeah, I don't know, agenda. I think that he definitely gets treated with different energy from some of the media. But
talkSPORT specifically.
Are you going to let me talk?
I'm just saying talkSPORT specifically.
Yes. I think that ultimately, when you are the size of AJ and one of the biggest stars in British sport, you are going to be a topic of conversation. And once that conversation unfolds, you're going to get people talking positively and negatively. So that sometimes, I think the main thing is I don't think, you know, his counterpart, which is Tyson Fury. I mean, when we go back to the Alexander Usyk situation, we all know that, and I know specifically because I worked with him for 5 or 6 fights, the easiest person to do a deal with in the heavyweight division is Alexander Usyk, okay? And the fight with Tyson Fury against Alexander Usyk was so simple to make. And ultimately, Fury chose not to take that fight. I believe.
But how do you know that, Eddie? That's not a fight negotiation that you're privy to. If someone said that to you,
I'm sure you were. I bet you were in a room, weren't you?
If somebody said,
you negotiated the deal.
If somebody said to you that the fights that you do were easy to negotiate, the first riposte you'd have is, how do you know you're not in the room? Now, this observation about Anthony Joshua being treated in a different way to Tyson Fury, I don't know about you guys, but for some of you guys that have so much to say for yourself, you have the thinnest skins.
I don't.
I'm not saying you were also after you had a conversation with Spencer Oliver. Can I finish?
Go on.
Thank you. You said to Spencer Oliver that he's one of the few people that have got the back of Matchroom and Anthony Joshua in the conversation. No, you did.
Anthony Joshua.
Right. Oh, Anthony Joshua. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to be balanced in the view. I look at Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury in the same respect. Right. I hate the Ngannou fight. I think he stunk the place out against Otto Wallin. I think that the Derek Chisora fight was an absolute pup, right? And I think he says far too much in the media and doesn't back it up. I think he makes bets with people he doesn't pay up on. I think it's poor. Right? And on the other side of the argument, I think Anthony Joshua has done things that I've disagreed with on that principle. So I think the bulk of people, certainly in this building, look at it from that point of view and go, criticism where criticism's due, praise where praise is due. But you guys running around spinning this yarn about the fact that there is an unconscious bias or a conscious bias towards diminishing Anthony Joshua is preposterous and trite.
Actually, if I can jump in, I don't think you do that, Eddie.
I've never. I mean,
but we've certainly heard from AJ
there. Apparently, it's what you said.
And this man to my right, may I say, Eddie, this man to my right here. Sure, Fury gave us a decent interview before the fight against White up at Wembley, and of course it was all pals. But you have weighed in on Fury for some of the ridiculous things he said. And Fury has come after not only Simon but me fairly publicly. And we go with it because it's part of the territory, Eddie. And it seems to me that AJ, who I admire a lot,
what you
seems
feel
very thin-skinned
and what the
on this
facts are
one.
Two different things.
But you don't let the facts get in the way. You just go with what you feel. But the energy's different, Simon.
No, it's not.
Look at.
How do you mean the energy's different?
I think when we're debating this now, and you're talking about Tyson Fury, and you talk about all the things that he did, I don't see you spit it with any venom or any passion. Not really.
When I write
an
article in a newspaper and turn around and say he's a disgrace to boxing, you don't think that's spitting facts?
When my name gets mentioned or something, I see the blood pressure rise. I see the venom. I don't know what it is.
When your name gets mentioned?
No, yeah, like shall I tell you the only thing that you and I have ever disagreed upon? The only thing is the way that you handled Conor Benn.
Yeah, we get that.
I have spoken about you and to you about the nature of the things that you do. I've also been clearly understanding of the way that you pay your fighters and the fact that you deal with them in a certain way. So I have been as complimentary about you as I have been derogatory. And the only issue is when you sit across the table from me about things like you did last time round, and what you do is you go, I tell you what,
so you're doing it again.
Did you watch your language?
But you do it now. You've lost your temper again. You're getting silly.
No, I'm not being silly.
Because you're going all flustered again.
I'm not flustered. Eddie, stop. You're not in a position of authority, so don't try and diminish me.
But what you do is
But you can't tell me what I'm doing.
Oh well, I did. You haven't done that. So what are you talking about?
Eddie, you're making an observation that I have a different attitude towards you than I do towards, say, Frank Warren or Ben Shalom.
I think that's 100% correct.
And I have a different attitude towards you on the basis of one subject matter. One subject matter.
No.
I think your behaviour over the Conor Benn situation was a disgrace.
Well, okay.
And I think that under the board's regulations, I think you should be brought up in front of them and served with a discipline notice.
That's your dream. Because that's not going to happen.
It's not a dream.
But it is.
I think the sport is bigger than you.
Look at the energy.
And if Frank,
of all the things that have happened.
Warren had done the same
not a bad thing, Eddie.
Energy is not a bad thing.
But it is.
But it's focus, Eddie.
It's not.
It's
because
focus.
You can see you don't have the same energy on anything else.
But don't be silly.
Because you've got this
really
sat on a show. Little something in your eye.
I just sat on a show. Don't be a child, Eddie. I just sat on a show with Frank Warren 4 weeks ago and said to him, "You're a disgrace for this Ngannou fight. It's a disgrace." And you'll see a podcast that comes out on Thursday where I spend 20 minutes of that show going to him, I'm not having this, Frank. What you're doing with this fight is not to do with the boxing world, it's to do with money, and you're not going to get away without saying it, right? So when you turn around and try to diminish the argument by reducing the facts and reducing it to a conversation which is based upon personalities rather than the facts, I have no motivation besides thinking that your behaviour over Conor Benn and the way that you represented that fight and what you let that kid go through was nothing more than a disgrace.
I'm going to let you, Eddie. I'm going to let you come back on that. The other side of this break, Eddie.
In the way that you represented
the situation. Both of you need to give me time here. Eddie, I'm going to let you come back in that. Eddie, I'm going to let you come back in that, but not now. We're going to take another break. One thing I do need to say: apologies to anybody who has picked up on any language.
I apologise for Simon's language.
Thank you.
Getting very rattled
this morning. But Eddie, I'll let you pick up on that Conor Benn situation. The other side of this break.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.